So in this video I'm going to be showing you a complete wild camping trip from start to finish. I'm going to include things like how I plan where I'm going to go, plotting my route, how I choose the gear that I'm going to take on the trip, and then I'm going to show everything else from hiking up and enjoying the camp itself. So grab yourself some popcorn and a drink, because this video might be a little longer than usual. So I've decided I'm going camping in the Peak District later today, so I thought I would check Google Maps to see if there's any suitable areas for pitching a tent. Google Maps, I'm going to type in Kinder Scout, and up on the moorland is where we want to be camping. So down in the bottom right hand corner I click on the little yellow man, and this makes a load of little circles on the screen. And then when you click on one of these little circles, it gives you a 360-degree view of the area, and as you can see there looks to be plenty of areas where I can pitch a tent. But there's plenty of flat grassy areas around here. It looks like these two fellas are going to be camping in this picture as well. So now I'm going to check the weather forecast to make sure there's no thunder and lightning on the way. And for this I use Mountain Weather Forecast, so it's mountainforecast.com. In the search bar you can type the hill or mountain you're going to be camping on, so Kinder Scout, and it will give you a detailed weather report for that particular area. So tonight we're expecting it to be pretty dry, but there's going to be winds of up to 25 kilometers per hour. Temperatures are going to be at the lowest around 9 or 10 degrees. So with this information I can make sure I've got the right tent for the conditions and the correct comfort rating for sleeping bags and sleeping pads, etc. Right, so I'm going to now head back onto Google Maps, just have a look where I'm going to park the car. So Edale is the nearest village. I can drag the little yellow man onto the roads and that will give me a street view, so I'm able to see where I can park the car. So we're going to be heading up into Edale village, which is all the way up here. And here's the famous Nag's Head, and that is the ideal place for me to park the car. I'm expecting it to be a little bit busy today, so I'm actually going to get the train. There's a train station in Edale, but that is how I normally find a parking spot. Right, so I've got a rough area where I'm going to be able to pitch up tonight, and I've got somewhere where we'll be parking the car, but yeah, I'll be catching the train in this instance. So next up I will be planning my route using OS Maps. So it's a similar sort of process to finding a location. So I'm going to type in Kinder Scout, which has brought me down here. So here is Edale, and there's the train station. So now I'm going to click routes, create custom route, and then we're going to start down at Edale station. I'm going to work our way up. I'm going to head over Grindslow Knoll, along here, follow the footpath past Crowden Tower to around the Woolpacks, and that, as you can see on the left hand side here, 3 miles just under. I can now save that route, and then before I head off I'll just download that to the OS Maps on my phone. So I've already got my gear packed for this trip, and I'll go through the reasons why I chose the kit that I've took when I unpack it up on the hill. So it's only about 5 minutes from the train station to the start of the trail. I downloaded the maps to my phone whilst I was waiting on the train. So I'm heading up there and then back over the top. It's about 3 miles. I don't really need the map, to be honest. I've been in this area loads of times before. But it never hurts to have a bit of a backup plan. And the maps are also good if I need to find some water. stretchers are out there. It looks like someone's in a bit of bother. Hopefully they're okay. Not even that high up. The views are awesome. So the wind's picking up a little bit now, so should make for an interesting evening. So although most of the path going up here is pretty good going, there's these lovely slabs and then just some light rocks and gravel. I brought the big guns out when it comes to footwear. I've run full boots and I've even got my gaiters in the bag. As you'll probably see a little bit later, it gets quite boggy up here. So although I've got plenty of water with me, it's never a bad idea to get a good gulp or two and then refill when you come to a water source. I always bring a water filter with me. This is the one I use. It's the B3 by Catadin. Not everybody likes this though. Very similar to the Sawyer Mini, Sawyer Squeeze, but I find this one a little bit easier to use and I like the flow rate. This Peak District water though doesn't look very clean, does it? But it's just the colouring from all the peat that's in the water. Once filtered, it's perfectly fine to drink. Does it get any better than this? I don't think it does. So I've shown this area on a video before, I think. These rock formations, they're like off another planet. If you've not been up to the Peak District before, you really should come and check this out. I keep expecting dinosaurs to appear. So this is one of the many boggy, peaty areas that I was telling you about. We've had a bit of rain the last couple of days, so I expected it to be a bit worse, to be honest. I reckon I'm going to head over that way, see if I can find somewhere to pitch. Let's see if I can find something a little closer to the edge so I get some better views. This actually looks a lovely little spot. Nestled in amongst those rocks, and if it's not quite flat enough, I'll just pick the tent up and drop it there. So in a minute when I get set up, I'm going to explain some of my gear choices to you. I'm not going to go into detail on every little thing that I've bought, but there are some of the big items that I've made choices based on what the conditions are today and what kind of camping I'm going to do. So I'll start with the rucksack. So as long as it's comfortable and it fits all your gear in, it doesn't really matter what brand or style that you get. But if I was just using a bivvy bag or an ultralight tent and a really lightweight sleeping bag, then maybe I could get away with a 33 litre pack. But all the stuff in my pack comes to about 45 litres, so that's why I've chose this pack today. But try not to fall down the trap of buying the biggest pack you can and then just loading it up with stuff that you don't really need. So the next big item is the tent. So I've chosen this tent today for a number of reasons. First, it's only one man, so there's only me going to be kipping in it, and I want something that's got quite a small footprint. So it's also fully freestanding, which means that I can pick the tent up and move it somewhere else, and that comes in really handy in areas like this where there's humps and bumps. You want to get the best area to put your sleeping pad on, so you're not sliding about and you have a good night's sleep. So that's the tent up. I'm now going to quickly move it so the sleeping area is flatter. So before I guy everything down fully, I'm just going to check that if I lie down in there it's pretty flat. That'll do. So that's the tent guyed out to the best I can do it anyway, because this ground is very rocky. I don't think it's going anywhere though. There's been a few people asking a lot of questions about this tent, so at the end of the video I'll leave a link on one of the end screens to my other channel where I'll look at this in a bit more detail. So I have bought a new chair to test out today, but I don't think I'm going to bother using it. I've got more chairs here than we've got in our living room. So no matter what the weather, there's some things that I always bring with me. So I've got a raincoat, this is a kilt for keeping my bottom half dry. I always bring things like a first aid kit, a water filter and a spare pair of socks. I do tend to mix it up a little bit with the stoves that I use. So I brought with me the jet boil today. There's no frying pan or anything like that though, so I'm only having a dehydrated meal. So all I really need to do is boil water. So another choice I've made today is based on the conditions, is the sleeping pad. So this particular one doesn't have any insulation to it, but it packs really small and it's only going to drop to around 10 degrees Celsius today, so I'm not going to be cold at all. May as well use this workbench, hadn't I? So this is my last big item that changes regularly depending on where I'm going and what the conditions are like. As I've already said, the temperatures are only going to drop to around 10 degrees, so I don't need a big heavy quilt or sleeping bag. So this one's got a comfort rating of about 0 degrees Celsius, so I'll be plenty warm enough tonight. So sleeping bags and sleeping pads, they can take up a huge amount of space inside your rucksack. I've got a Sea to Summit one that it goes down some really cold temperatures, but it's really bulky, so I would need to have a bigger backpack when I'm using that in colder weather. So the most important thing for me is to have the right equipment for the right conditions. So checking the forecast is a big part of planning for the camps that I go on. And I always tend to err on the side of caution and take something a little bit warmer than the forecast is predicting. I think it's time to soak up some of these views. There's definitely worse places to pitch a tent. So I brought a dehydrated pasta bolognese for tea. Gone for the jet boil today, but if I wanted to bring something like steak, which I do quite a lot to be honest with you, I'd bring a frying pan. I could still bring the jet boil, but I'd also need to make sure that the meat was okay to transfer here. So what I normally do is either freeze it if I'm not going to be travelling too far, and then by the time I get to my destination it's thawed out, or I use a small little freezer bag kind of things with ice blocks in it. And I find red meat like beef tends to keep better than chicken and pork. So you've seen home for the night. I'll give you a tour of the garden. So I don't think I'm going to get the car on the drive because the front is a bit steep. But the back, it's got quite a nice flat driveway there, look. And the views are something else. We'll look down there. Glad it's not any windier. We might get a little bit of rain. Not on the forecast. That's about it for the sunset. Not really seeing the sun all day. There's a few other campers knocking around. I'm not complaining though. Got this little spot all to myself. So I was close to not bothering filming today. In fact, I even thought about taking a bit of time out from YouTube. So wild camping's great for clearing your head, recharging your batteries. But YouTube, it's definitely not the same. Made the big mistake of letting some of the comments get under my skin a little bit, which I know sounds a little bit daft, and I should really have a bit thicker skin nowadays. And throughout life you get criticisms from everybody, and that includes your family, and you love them and you don't listen to them still, so why you should bother what Skidmark 74 or whatever says on YouTube is beyond me really. But sometimes it just gets to you a little bit. Now I wasn't going to say anything about it on YouTube, I was just going to brush it all under the carpet, and I might do yet, so if you're seeing this on video, I've decided to keep it in. And it's not about me. There's a lot of people that are suffering from online bullying, whether it's adults, kids, and yeah, it's upset me a little bit, but I'll get over it. But there are some people that don't, and you know, if you're one of these people that says something nasty just because you can, hiding behind an avatar and a keyboard in your underpants, then shame on you. I just hope you get what you deserve in the long run. Anyway, rant over. I feel better for getting it out there. The light's starting to fade a little bit. It's getting a little bit chilly. So unless something really exciting happens, I'm going to get in here, get my head down, and I'll see you tomorrow. So it rained quite a bit last night. The wind couldn't make its mind up from being very blustery to nothing at all. Some low cloud rolling in there, look. It's trying to rain a little bit now as well. There's a tiny bit of moisture inside the tent. Very little though. So the vents did the job last night. Didn't get up in time for the sunrise. I might take this route back down Jacob's Ladder. I think I might get wet though on the way back down. But the good news is I ain't got to wait for a train to get back. Joe's going to meet me at Edale. She's bringing Reggie for his first trip to the Peak District. So I'll get this lot packed away. We'll tackle Jacob's Ladder over there, and you might even get to see how big the puppy is these days. So this isn't the route that I've plotted, but I have downloaded the map for the entire area, so if I did get a little bit lost, I could always find my way out. It looks a little bit claggy where I'm going though, and then down that path. So this is why I brought the gaiters. Helps keep your trousers dry and clean. Dropped lucky again with the conditions, haven't I? Perfect. This is the top of Jacob's Ladder. So there's the path down, and that right in the centre there is the edge I was pitched up last night. So at the bottom we've got all these lovely little waterfalls and the old pack horse bridge. So that's about it for this one. Joe's going to have to pick me up on the road. She can't get parked in Edale. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.